Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar, our mini symposiums to support teachers in the field. This is the 11th of 18 webinars we are hosting, and this session has 236 people registered. My name is Michelle Kaza, and I am the manager for professional learning for Accelerate Learning. And I'll be your host today for an incredible afternoon of learning. I've been in public education for 20 years. Connecting with educators in the field, like today, is the best part of my day. Thank you for being here. We have lined up some exceptional talent around the country for these mini symposiums. This week we have 6 sessions. We also will host 6 sessions during July 14th through 16th. The link to the schedule is found in the chat window. Some of our national superstars include Roger Bybee, Peter McLaren, David Crowther, Rita McDonald, Oakley Lee, Larry Plank, and Kelly Price Colley. We also have some local trailblazers from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, including Shane Woods, Linda Cook, and Malaki Eubank. In addition, we also have one of our best presenters from Accelerate Learning, including our presenter today, Dr. Ken Heidrich. Before we begin, let me share you some procedural aspects to this webinar. As you know, we are using Zoom, which has a number of interactive features. Please look at your sound and video controls found on the bottom left side of your screen. Your sound should be muted. I believe everybody is muted. Make sure your audio has a red diagonal line through it. If you choose to display video, please be constantly aware of what you are broadcasting. We also recommend that you use the speaker view on your video display found on the top right corner. I'll give you a minute to find that. Okay, let's try one feature now called polling. Let me release a quick poll to see what we have who we have participating today. And let's take about 30 seconds to mark your response. Here we go. Couple more seconds. Excellent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. And I'm going to share the results. So it looks like today we have a lot of pre-K 5 teachers. Right behind that, a lot of 6-8 teachers, some campus administrators, district administrators, other, and some higher education. Excellent. Glad you're all here to spend some time with us today. Okay, so let's talk about the chat feature that we have today. We'll only be using the chat feature today for your comments and questions. This window is being monitored by STEMscope staff, Pam O'Brien, and will be able to respond when necessary. We will also use Zoom function called breakout rooms. Our presenter will be able to randomly group people into smaller rooms for discussion. Okay, so now that's it for the procedures. Lots of procedures there. Let's start with our introductions. So today we are fortunate to have Dr. Ken Heidrich present today. Dr. Heidrich has 30+ years in education, high school science teacher, district science supervisor, state science director, university STEM professor. He has bachelor in science and master's in science degree from Northern Illinois University and his doctorate from the University of Houston. He is a past president of state and national associations, former executive director of state and national associations, and currently national STEM manager for Accelerate Learning. We are so fortunate to have Ken share his expertise and insights with us today. Ken, take it away.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate you very much. It's wonderful to be with all of you today. Thank you for expressing interest on how you or your campus or your district can design and create your own STEM initiative or STEM ecosystem. Today, we're going to talk about these three main goals. One, to explore STEM, what is STEM and STEM ecosystems, investigate the components of a STEM ecosystem, and finally, to review the steps to begin your own STEM ecosystem. I know we are in a pandemic, but if you open your mind on how you can take some steps, it is possible. You'll be prepared after this pandemic to really run with creating your own STEM initiative or STEM ecosystem. Right now, I'd like you to think about what are the qualities of a good teacher? We all have had experiences with many good teachers throughout our careers. What I'd like you to do is to close your eyes for a moment. They're in your own room. Close your eyes, relax. Think of the best teacher you had growing up. Who created a spark in you? Why? Who is that special teacher? Who have you observed in the past 2 years that made you say, wow, that teacher is incredibly talented? Think about that. Let's take 30 seconds and think about that wonderful teacher and those qualities. What did that teacher look like, sound like in the classroom? Okay, open your eyes. What are you feeling? How was it? For me, it was my biology teacher from Palatine High School in Illinois. But let's think about those qualities of the teacher. If you will pull out your device, you can either use your phone, a tablet, or your computer. Go to menti.com, MENTI.com. It's a way that we can do word clouds and do responses. So go to menti.com and put in the code 149985. The code is 149985, and Pam has put that into the chat window. So what we have is, let me put this up now. It is, Pam, can you see it?
Yes, Ken, we can all see it, and we can see that the board is being populated with all kinds of wonderful words.
Perfect. So you were thinking about that wonderful teacher you had growing up, or maybe a colleague now. What are those words? Each of you can enter about 5 phrases or words. All those adjectives, that's really incredible. Let's take about 15 more seconds. All right, I'm gonna go back to the slides now. Right, thank you all for doing that. I mean, that was incredible. Those words in the word cloud, I mean, those all were very apropos, very descriptive of what we think about good teachers. So you already know what those qualities are of a good teacher. We know what good teaching looks like, what it sounds like. So what we're doing today is, how do we create a STEM ecosystem or a STEM initiative that supports the core teacher in the classroom? Because that is what it's all about. It's the teacher connecting with the student. And what are those qualities? So how can we create an ecosystem to help support teachers in their classroom and in their campus? Here's a question for you. The number one factor supporting student success is blank. What is it? So go to your chat window. And what is the number one factor supporting student success? And Pam, if you'll give us some information on that.
And we've got lots of responses coming in now. Several responses saying the teacher, connection, relationship with the teacher, several of those. Kind, caring teacher, one who connects with students. The availability to learn, a connection with the teacher. Communication. Wonderful. The learning environment. Quality teacher, opportunities. Belief in the students.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Student voice, yeah. So those are all good. You all know what it's all centering around. It's all centering around the teacher. You know, why do we teach? You know, I taught for 10 years. I love those years in the classroom. But some of the key words that deal with teaching, there's engaging, inspiring, they're knowledgeable, they help facilitate, they're hopeful, they care about the students. All of these terms, they all center around the heart of teaching, which is the teacher. Having a passionate, knowledgeable teacher in the classroom is our goal. So that's what we're talking about, is how can we support the teachers in the classroom? Did you know that research tells us that students who are placed in a highly effective teacher's classroom for 3 years in a row significantly outperform average students? And a student who has an outstanding teacher for just 1 year will remain ahead of their peers for the next few years. And the research also says that a student with even one ineffective teacher may not catch up to his or her peers for up to 3 years. And having one excellent teacher doesn't fully compensate for the effect of having an ineffective teacher. Worse yet, a student who has 3 bad teachers in a row rarely catch up at all. So the bottom line is we need to take care of our teachers. We need to support our teachers. And having an effective STEM ecosystem or a STEM initiative can help give that support for teachers that we vitally need. So you've heard of STEM, STEAM, STREAM, right? There's all these terms going around. Our focus is on STEM, but you've heard of STEAM. STEAM, they've added the A, which stands for arts, and arts are important. Just because you have a STEM school doesn't mean you don't teach the arts. It is still a very inclusive program. STREAM has come around. The R can be either religion or research. Those are some of the streams out there. And there are others too. The bottom line is that no one wants to be excluded. Everyone wants to be in the business of helping students, and that is honorable. The term STEM actually came around in 2001, not too long ago. Previously, and we heard this from Dr. Bybee before this seminar, is that it used to be called SMET, S-M-E-T, for science, mathematics, engineering, and technology. And people were just not having a good time saying SMET. And so after various versions, they all agreed on STEM. So in 2001, the National Science Foundation, NSF, started using the term STEM in all their correspondence with schools and districts throughout the country. It's a great slogan, huh? Great for a t-shirt. The role of NSF in the early 2001 decade was for jobs, for governments to create jobs. A term was for the job pipeline going on and also the economy. Now the main focus is to build strong foundations for STEM literacy, increase the diversity, equity, and inclusion in STEM, and finally to prepare for the STEM workforce of the teacher. And these three, the current focus of STEM, is a great way to engage your community, to get support from your community to do a STEM initiative or a STEM ecosystem. So STEM, what is it really? I get this question all the time, especially when I became the National STEM Manager for Accelerated Learning a couple of years ago. People will ask, well, what is STEM? Usually it's in the grocery line, talking to people or other educators or parents. So what is STEM? So I thought about it for a long time, and there is a lot of mischaracterization of what STEM is. Having a robotics class on a campus is not STEM. Having science fair as an annual ritual for your campus is not STEM. There's a lot more to it. So let me share with you my top 5 characteristics of what STEM really is. So number 1, it is a integrated curriculum. You've got to have science, technology, engineering, and mathematics integrated together. It's got to be meaningful. You can have a common concept, you can have a topic, but the students really see that all those subjects are seamlessly integrated together. Now, you don't have to have it all the time, but for the most part, you do have an integrated curriculum. 2, you have true connections among the STEM of STEM. All 4 areas need to be integrated. They all don't need to be taught at the same time, but it should be a primary focus throughout the school year. The connections must be authentic. 3, relevancy to students' lives. This is really important. It's a must-have. Whatever we teach, it has to be relevant to the student in STEM. 4, applications to the real world. This deals also with the relevancy. The applications are to both content and careers, that students see that there's different avenues, different paths for them to take, and perhaps it opens up their mind to different things that they can pursue. And finally, number 5, your STEM program needs to utilize and promote critical thinking and problem solving. It's the habits of mind. Does all this make sense to you? Do you like this STEM description? I hope so. Perhaps you want to write some of your comments in the chat window now.
And we did have a question from Annette. She was wondering if you included cardboard technology as well as digital technology.
Absolutely. I think any kind of useful technology into the classroom to make it meaningful for kids, to connect kids, to make it relevant to them are good. And finally, the bottom line is, I think, to sum it all up, making connections. In STEM, we are making connections. We are making connections between the content, the STEM, relevancy to students' lives, what they see around the world, when they interact with their friends, their parents, other family members, critical thinking, careers, all of it. Making connections is the bottom line. And that is what STEM is all about to me. And I hope you do too. So here's a graphic we had designed to really talk about these 8 areas of a STEM ecosystem, or a STEM initiative, if you want to call it that. So have you all heard of STEM ecosystems? It's been around for probably maybe 5, 6, 7 years or so. There are some formal programs out there. It's mainly dealing with systemic thinking. You just can't think of the isolated classroom or the isolated campus. You've got to look at all those factors that surround, hence the design, that surround the student. Systemic thinking is important for improving schools. There are other formal ecosystems out there. You may have heard the TIE group, T-I-E group, 100K in 10. Battelle has a big initiative dealing with STEM ecosystems. A lot of these are formalized programs. Some of them cost a lot of money. But my bottom line is, I think if there's energy and passion within a campus or a district, you can do it yourself. It just takes some hard work, some good thinking, and you can actually carry it off on yourself. You can have your own journey in STEM. So look at this chart. There are actually 8 pieces to this diagram. Let's see if I can get the annotate and come up with an arrow here. Okay, can you see this? Is the arrow showing up?
Yes, Ken, we can see the arrow.
See the arrow.
There it is.
So here are the main parts. So the school is the one that we are the most familiar with. We have the most control with. That's the one that we really can embark. And this is the core of our STEM initiative, or our STEM pathway. The home is really important too. We've got to involve our parents as much as we can. They are critical stakeholders to making any kind of progress with the student. Community, all of the community that we live in, the cities, the townships, have a great impact. Higher education, another very important factor, one of the 8 components of an ecosystem. Our community colleges, our higher education, the colleges, the university, they all can play a very important part. Businesses, we usually think of businesses as trying to contribute money, but they've got talent. They know how to do planning. So we need to utilize our businesses as part of our STEM ecosystem. And over, oh, I went, oh, there we go. Libraries at the school and the community can also be very important. They've got a lot of expertise and resources that we can utilize. Our informal science centers, our science centers and museums, they want to partner with campuses and districts. They have a lot of expertise. They have a lot of smart people and programs and equipment that can help you, that you can help support your STEM ecosystem. And finally, the after-school programs. There are a number of after-school programs out there that are made to support what's going on in the campus. So think about those 8 things, those 8 components. They're all very important. The main thing we need to think about is having common goals. What are the shared beliefs that you want to have in your initiative? Bringing all those 8 components together and having a common vision, having common goals, and the beliefs are very important. They are all interdependent. Here's a definition of STEM ecosystems from Edutopia. I'm a big fan of Edutopia. They've got great resources and videos for everybody, but they recognize STEM ecosystems. They say the school is a product of all the interactions and interdependencies of all its components, regardless of visibility. So think about that. That's a great definition. It's dealing with interdependence and interactions. Interactions not just within the school, but within the community, higher education, etc. Those 8 components that we just talked about. So let's do a reality check here. Michelle is going to release a Zoom poll for us. Is your campus or district involved in a STEM program or STEM initiative now? I'd like you to be honest. Just we want to gauge on our participants here, how many are actually involved in a STEM initiative right now, or maybe are thinking about it. So Michelle, take it away.
Here you goes, guys. I just launched the poll.
This is very, very interesting.
Very interesting. You have about 10 seconds left. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close the poll and share the results.
Wow, I was wondering what the results would be like for this, being this was nationally advertised. And it's pretty split, but yeah, most of you though have been involved in a STEM program or STEM initiative for 1 or 2 years. You're just starting out. So yes, we want to capitalize on that. And you probably know it's not an easy road. It's not an easy journey. We continually need support. And though we do have what 22% said no, there's probably no engagement in going down this road, this journey right now. But maybe because of this webinar that you're participating in, maybe we can change that. Maybe we can give you some support to move forward on that. So thank you, Michelle, for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So here are the 8 components again. We briefly talked about those 8, and every component can contribute to your STEM initiative. Maybe you've had something going on for 1 or 2 years, but maybe you've only utilized 2 or 3 components. So hopefully this webinar will encourage you to reach out to maybe bring in maybe 2 or 3 more components in the next school year. So let's go back to your school, your campus. Here's some questions I like to ask about your campus, because this is the one that we all have the most control over. Number 1, do you have an integrated curriculum? Do you have an integrated curriculum? 2, do you allow teachers of all disciplines to plan lessons together? Have you embedded some time in the school day or maybe the school week where actually teachers get together and they plan lessons together? They look at the overlap. and so they can have meaningful lessons for kids. 3, do you offer co-curricular activities or after-school activities that support STEM? Maybe that's something you could add in the coming year once we get out of this pandemic, those support systems of after school or before school. 4, do you engage teachers in meaningful professional development? Do the schools and districts allow teachers to get some PD, professional development, that supports their needs besides school needs, something that will help support them pursue this journey in STEM? And finally, do schools have budgets that support STEM resources and activities? This can be sensitive, and working with principals and working with your district staff, getting those necessary resources to help with a STEM initiative or a STEM ecosystem are very important. So those are some of the 5 questions I think we can all take back to our campuses and really work on right away. But let's talk about 4 areas right now. Of the 8, I would like us just to have some brainstorming with each other, talking about 1, home and parents, 2, school and community libraries, 3, local businesses, and 4, community colleges. So we're going to go back to the menti.com. It'll be the same code. Pull it up on your device, and I would like us just to do some surveys. What are some things that you can do to help in those areas? So let me go back to the screen. Okay, I need to go to the next slide. Okay, so how can the home and parents support your STEM program? In the Mentimeter on your device, just type in, what do you think the home and parents can do to support your STEM program? And these will all start to come up on the screen. And I think every participant can add in 5 items. So don't be shy. There we go. How can the home and parents support your STEM program? These will start populating. Volunteer to supervise in the classroom, create interest, ask questions.
Ken, can you go ahead and share that whiteboard with us?
Oh, it's not sharing?
Not yet. We still see your PowerPoint.
You are right. There it goes.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Pam. Teamwork here. Yeah, so those are the things y'all are coming up. Keep entering. Parent participation, staying connected. Any others? Oh, okay, let's go to the next one right now. Let's talk about local businesses. How can local businesses support your STEM program? Go to the next question in Menti, and let's see some of your reactions to how can local businesses support your STEM program. Pam, do you know how it will roll down to the next series? It's supposed to automatically roll, but it's not. I show 34 responses.
Try clicking enter and see if it stops and then starts.
Oh, here we go. Oh, it's moving now. There we go.
Maybe it needed a nudge.
I will get all of these to you as part of our product for this webinar, so you will have all of these brainstorming ideas. So thank you for doing that. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to community colleges and universities. How can community colleges and universities support your STEM program? Go ahead and put in your ideas for that in the next Mentimeter survey. I love all the thinking you're coming up with. This will be a great generated list for us to work from. Oh, now it's working. Are you all seeing it move up? Minor programs, professional development, good. Work on choice sheets, that's good. Space in labs, volunteers. Okay, let's do about 10 more seconds, put them in. Offer training events for teachers, outreach, and students. Certifications. Student research projects. Supporting CTE, excellent. Wow. This is going to be a rich resource for all of us to pull from. Thank you all. Excellent. So let's go to the next question now. The last one that I want us to brainstorm on. Oh, they're really coming on now. All right, we're gonna let it go at that. I can't get to the other Mentimeter. All right, let me go back to the slide. Thank you all for sharing, that was very good. Back to the slides here. So I will share all of those with you. That was very important to have and for us to utilize as a resource on what we can do in our own home, school, and district. So let's, all right. So here's some ideas I can share with you from previous sessions that I did. I've had a couple of symposiums. One was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and one was in New Orleans. And we had a group of about 100 people brainstorm also. So these are some of the ideas they generated. This is part of the PowerPoint you will get is in the handout after this session. But here for school, here were 6 ideas that other participants came up with. The top 2 is, have an integrated curriculum. Having the integrated curriculum is very important, and having before and after school opportunities for kids. And those are probably the 2 easiest things that you can implement. At home, here are 6 ideas that participants have come up with. The 2 main ones I'd recommend is providing support for learning and having parents help with the homework and projects at the house. Higher education, you already came up with many of these in that brainstorming with the Mentimeter. Share career expertise and mentor and tutor from colleges. But there's also dual enrollment, summer research opportunities, lots of things that a higher education faculty and institution can provide to support your STEM ecosystem. Businesses, we talked about this one, funding, guest speakers, site visits. They also can do mentorships, internships, things like that. Community, this was one that we have not addressed yet, but support from the community members itself. Maybe your city council, maybe different businesses in the community, guest speakers, things like that. Libraries are wonderful resource that you can utilize, the books, the digital media they've got, the hardware now, they have meeting space, computer labs. They can be a vital partner in your STEM ecosystem or STEM initiative. Museums and science centers. Don't be afraid to call your local museum or science center. Get them engaged. They have exhibits. They've got a lot of knowledgeable people that you can utilize. Maybe have them come to your campus, or maybe you can take a field trip out to their facility and see the firsthand exhibits and talent that they have. After school, have a STEM club, maybe a competition. Bring in special programs like robotics or coding. Coding is a great program. It's been growing like crazy in the last five years.
Just wondering if the screen froze for all of us.
No, I think it's just Ken's screen. Am I right, Pam?
Yes, I think so.
I can't hear anybody that are talking.
He's frozen, yeah. Ken, I want to break out in a song.
So it looks like he is not in the room at this point.
Okay.
So it's just you, Michelle. Hi.
Hi. Okay, so I like Let It Go, Let It Go. Annette, I could not stop now singing that in my head.
Sorry, I couldn't seem to get the mute button off.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. You guys are good.
My screen froze, so that's why I was a little late coming in.
Got it. No problem, guys. I'm going to give them like one, like another minute. And then if not, Pam, I can pick it up and share my screen.
I did send him a little text message letting him know that his screen was frozen. I don't know whether he has his phone nearby or not.
What is our discussion question? Wow.
Michelle, that might be a good thing to go to now. If you can, you have the breakout room controls, yes?
Michelle, you're muted.
Thanks, Veronica. Okay, so let me do that. All right, so everyone can see my screen, correct? Everyone can just give me a thumbs up because I can see y'all. All right, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna go into breakout rooms. Hopefully that'll work for me. So here's your discussion question. Sorry.
Go back one slide.
I know.
Okay.
Okay, what are your thoughts about STEM initiative or STEM ecosystem? So we would like you guys to go to your breakout rooms, kind of talk to each other. If you've already started a STEM ecosystem or an initiative in your area, we would love to know, share out how that started, what you did. If you're interested in starting one, that's a discussion we would like you to go into your breakout rooms and have right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into breakout rooms. Okay, so Pam, I think as your co-host, you're gonna have to do breakout rooms. It's not allowing me.
I do not have that option.
I don't have it either. Okay, so let's just use the chat box then. That's what we use the chat for, right? So I want you guys to take a few minutes and think about what are your thoughts about STEM initiatives, STEM ecosystems, and use your chat to go ahead and throw down what, and share with us your thoughts on STEM ecosystems and STEM initiatives in your area. Okay, so some people, Pam, you want to read some of those?
Yeah, someone has asked if they'd like to know other thoughts because they're beginning one at a middle school level. Thinking about it for next year, looking for more ideas. District put together a STEM expert team 3 years ago.
Oh, nice.
STEM is important for student higher thinking. Yeah, someone likes the idea of collaborating across disciplines. It's about new programs and trying to open a STEM-focused campus. This person, Claire, already has a very successful summer STEM camp program.
Excellent. I'm seeing all the things that everyone is writing. Which components would be the best to start with? If anyone would like to answer that question, that would be great to throw in there some ideas for those of you who started. It's a lot of planning and some elements to a difficult time. PTA was great financial support. Pilot program and small group practice, getting grants. That's how I started mine, with a grant. Excellent. Okay, we'll give you guys another, oh, look at that. Pam, you can go ahead and start summarizing some of the answers. with me, or partner, or team.
It does look like we do have a lot of people here who are actually looking for ideas.
Yeah.
And then there seems to be a theme recurring from people who did, is that they started small, they had a focus. They didn't, I don't want to say overreach, but they had reasonable goals that they worked toward before moving on to other goals.
Okay, so Ken is back. Woot woot. So Ken, we had everyone sharing in the chat box some of their ideas on how they started STEM initiatives in their area or STEM ecosystems, and they also asked questions. You think you can hear me? I can't tell if he's...
I'm going to unmute. There we go. Does that work?
Yes, absolutely. We can hear you.
Yay, yay. So, so they shared, what were some of the main ideas that you got?
So we do have a lot of people who are looking for ideas. We have quite a few people on the call who have started pilots. The theme seemed to be that they started small with attainable goals before moving on. We have someone here who started, there seems to be a recurring theme of professional learning opportunities first. Reaching out, networking.
Okay.
With fellow experts, including the PTA.
Good.
Comments of lots of planning. And then also just also some challenges of in this time of high stakes testing, which we currently are still in, perhaps, that, you know, there may be some potential roadblocks, and perhaps how to navigate successfully through those, you know, to fully embrace this opportunity.
Okay, great. Can you all see the screen now? Are we all set?
Yep.
Perfect, great. Thank you. So let's proceed. So next steps. Thank you. I hope that breakout time was useful. It's always nice to dialogue. That's one of the things we try to do in these webinars.
Ken, just as a clarification, we didn't have the capacity to do breakout rooms for some reason.
Oh, okay.
So that's why there's so much in the chat. So I don't know if you want to provide that opportunity for like 3 minutes, or if you just would want to just keep moving along. That's up to you.
Oh, to have people talk? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, let's take 2 or 3. If you will raise your hand, Michelle, if you can watch hands. If people want to raise hands, let's maybe get 3 people who want to share out some of their thoughts.
I'm not seeing raise. Oh, I see one raise hand. There we go. Jessica Morris, would you like to?
And I think Annette from Washington State also chimed in.
Okay. and then Susan Alfaro. Hopefully, oh, Susanna, I'm sorry. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. So let's go. Who would you like to go to first?
Go to Annette. She's the first one there. So Annette, go ahead and talk.
Thank you, sir. And by the way, hello, Ken.
Hey, Annette.
Yes, so we started out with a STEM expert committee, and what we did was we researched what was the general feeling in the community and among teachers first. We actually got a lot of community input through a survey, and it was the community that said they wanted the expert team to delve into having more STEM-based opportunities. The biggest roadblock the first year was actually coming up with a definition of what was STEM. But once we kind of came over that roadblock, then the question was, what does that really mean? And we had to break the misconception, as you mentioned earlier, of doing mathematics on a computer does not mean that you just participated in STEM, although two components were there. So we also had to break down a lot of misconceptions of what STEM is and is not. With elementary teachers, which is really where I started, we took what they were comfortable with, and that was ELA and reading. And we had them choose a very, very simple children's story. And we said, okay, so what's the problem? What are the many problems? Which one do you want to solve? Now, how could you use math, science, and engineering to actually solve the problem that the character was having in the story? And that's kind of how we got things started. And then teachers started developing problem-based opportunities for their students and also action projects. And we work with a couple of, we work with Boeing, we work with the Washington Alliance for Better Schools, and we work with Washington Green Schools on a lot of our STEM-based initiatives. Thank you.
Terrific. That's really nice. And you obviously support having partners with this. You need those partners to help support the work that you're doing. Thank you, Annette. That was excellent. Someone else wants to share?
How about Susanna?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So in the case of my school and the district that I work at, there are a lot of initiatives kind of like all spread out. And right now, the district invested in these beautiful buildings that are supposed to have pretty much all the technology that we are going to need to integrate all these subjects and it's not just STEM, they're adding the A for art, so it's STEAM in this time, but pretty much it's the same concept. So what we have been working kind of like in like separate parts, and it's been PBL, which is a project-based learning. So we're training, or we're getting trained to do these type of projects. We are working with Cal State, Cal State East Bay, and they are trying to help us with some grants and some opportunities to interact with the students that are going to bring that relationship not only with the community but also with the universities. And there are several clubs within the school that also are going to start being part of these bigger initiatives. So right now we have a lot of pieces, and the next step for us is kind of like put all these together.
And it takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's exhausting.
But it's worth it. Hang in there. That's great. Thank you. I appreciate your comments. Jennifer, can you give us like a 2-minute version?
Yes, I actually have more of a question. My school is starting STEM, and as an art teacher, I was told I'm teaching that as well as art. So I want to do STEAM. My question is, I work with art cars. I'm from Houston, and I feel like that would be a good thing to maybe use as an idea, because it does involve the STEM part of it, but it also involves the aspect of art. Do you think that would be a good idea to kind of start a project like that in order to kind of build the curriculum around.
So I think I missed what you said would be the starting block.
So I'm from Houston, and we have a art car parade.
What?
An art car parade. So you build art cars into, or you can build bikes into art cars, but you have to come up with the design and then the engineering and getting it down. I'm just wondering if that would be a good idea to bring to my campus as a way to introduce the STEM program.
I think it sounds interesting. I think it could be doable. One of the things I'm going to get to very shortly now, in the last 15 minutes, is talk about you need to have buy-in from your school, from the people involved here. So getting the buy-in and the collaboration from your other school partners is going to be really important. From what you said here, it may be kind of limiting, but if you can couch it in, if you've got these cars, if you've got these bicycles, what can you do with that? I mean, can it be the mechanics, the forces, obviously bring in the science, the physical science with that. But you can also bring in the life science, talking about the muscles used to move the gears, things like that. So try to think out of the box where you can have more of a comprehensive approach. So when you go to the other faculty members in the administration, that they see it more as a win-win for multiple people, not just an art project.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you all for sharing. Let me take the next 15 minutes and talk about some really nuts and bolts of what we can do here. So I have 5 tips I want to share with you, and this is based upon experience. I was a district level science supervisor for 15 years, 8 years in the Austin, Texas school district, and then 8 years with the Pflugerville school district, which is a suburb just north of Austin in Texas here. And so in both districts, in Austin and Pflugerville, I actually led the initiative to do a STEM program, to do a STEM initiative. We called it like a science task force. And so based upon my experiences that I had in those 2 school districts and worked with other entities, I put together some 5 tips for you. And so these were grassroots efforts, and I think these really dovetail into perhaps you starting a new initiative or a STEM ecosystem, or maybe supporting what you're already doing in the classroom. The first thing is having this task force, a steering committee. You've got to bring people to the table together. And like I just mentioned about that teacher from the Houston area, you've got to get buy-in. So you've got to garner the support from all the teachers, not just the science and math teachers, but you also got to get the ELA, English Language Arts, the art teachers, the PE teachers, counselors. You need to get as many people engaged as possible. So create this task force or steering committee, whatever you want to call it. Also include parents. This is a good time to bring in parents, business people, but you want to have this group of maybe 15 or 20 people that are overseeing the activities of this initiative, who are going to be like the bottom line of where we want to go, and also the timeline of those activities. Start small, but you need to bring together those stakeholders. If you don't bring in a piece of the stakeholders, they can sabotage the efforts that you're trying to bring forward. So try to be very inclusive and include a variety of people. Second tip is do your homework. You've got to research the basis for having a STEM initiative or a STEM ecosystem. You've got to know your assessment results, your campus results, your district results. Where is the greatest need? Are your math scores really below? Have they been below for 2 years? Are all of your racial groups or all your SES groups performing well? You need to have that research so you can draw upon it. Look at the state assessment. What are the results? Do you have some patterns? Do you notice that your math scores or science scores or ELA scores are going down in the last few years? Complete surveys. I think Annette from Washington mentioned that they did surveys. That is critically important. By doing a survey, one, you engage people right away. They know what your what your mission is, what you're trying to perhaps move towards, and it also helps get their buy-in, their support. They see what you're asking. So do some surveys of students, teachers, and the community members to see where should this STEM initiative focus in on. Maybe the first 2 years we focus in on A and B, and the next 3 years we focus in on C and D. But get a survey. Research, go to STEM Connector. It's on the internet. STEM Connector is a great website. They pull together for you all your local resources. You put in your state, city, you can see who has different programs, either they're informal programs, formal programs, state agencies that can help you. Go to STEM Connector, it's a great resource. ASTC, the Association of Science and Technology Centers. They can help you find out who these partners are in the informal world. Who are those science centers, those museums that can lend assistance? I also encourage you to reach out to the Carnegie Science Center. We had a symposium there in Pittsburgh. They have this program called the STEM Excellence Pathway. It's a formalized program where you can work with knowledgeable people to create a plan, a pathway on how to do your STEM initiative. So do your research and utilize some of these resources. Tip number 3, guides.
Ken,
Yes.
if you wouldn't mind the interruption, we did have someone in the chat ask if there was anyone who would be willing to share a sample survey. They found that they're interested in that, and they really are looking at other participants. So just in case there were participants that didn't see that in the chat.
Perfect.
Just someone
Yeah.
reaching out for some assistance.
So if you can send me that survey, I can send that out to this group of participants as part of that handout also. If you send me that survey, you've got my email address that was on the invite. It's khydrit@acceleratelearning.com. Here are four guides that I think you can utilize too. Going from the regional area to the national arena. So here in Austin, we have our Regional Service Center, Region 13. They created this blueprint for building a STEM program that was released 5 years ago now. It was modeled after the program we did in Texas. I was part of that STEM blueprint, but this is a good document. I think it's maybe $15, $20, but it's something you may want to look into. It's a blueprint for building a STEM program. The University of San Diego has a design program on a STEM ecosystem. They developed it with partnerships across the board. That was released in 2016. Here's part of Accelerate Learning. We have a national certification for STEM excellence as part of our, I guess, a sister arm with the National Institute for STEM Education. If you go to NISE.institute, there's a program to certify teachers in STEM, but you can also certify your campus or even your district in STEM. And finally, if you look at our national STEM efforts, 2 years ago, the National Science and Technology Council came up with a very informative document. It's a little bit on the thick side, but it's very good. It's called Charting a Course for Success, America's Strategy for STEM Education. Jeff Wild is the guy who did it. I've known him for about 20 years. He's in Iowa, and then he went to Washington to work on this, but it's a wonderful resource for you. So look into that. Tip number 4, and I see I've got about 10 minutes left, are books. There are a number of good books out there that you can utilize. The first 2 here in green are from the National Research Council. The first one is called Successful K-12 STEM Education. It's a free download PDF. Pam will release a Google Doc that has all these links for you, so you don't have to worry about copying them down or getting them all individually written down. We have a resource for you, but these first 2 in green are great resources: Successful K-12 STEM Education and Identifying and Supporting Productive STEM Programs in Out-of-School Settings, the informal world. So those 2 are free PDFs. They should help you with your STEM initiative. 3, a book that I have found very useful, again, by Jeff Weld, who was in Iowa as part of the governor's STEM initiative there, and then went to go work in the White House for about 4 years. Jeff wrote this book on creating a STEM culture for teaching and learning. It's a great book, useful tips. Came out about 3 years ago. I think it's maybe $25, but it's a great resource you may want to utilize. And finally, from Dr. Roger Bybee, who presented just right before me, his latest book is called STEM Education Now More Than Ever. And he talks about the elements of STEM education, having a good program, and trying to engage your parents and community in your STEM program. So tip number 4, get some of those books, maybe have a book study, bring people on board. Getting that buy-in is critical to your success. My last tip, and this is the last part of my presentation, is to strategize. And I've used this before and I've been part of this. This is an activity I can show you through slides, but usually when I would do a session, a workshop, we would do this face-to-face. It's a meaningful, really good session. Unfortunately, with a COVID-19 pandemic, we can't do this now, but I really encourage you to do this. You probably could work this out virtually, but it is best to do it face-to-face. So here's the strategy. Is you bring your task force together, let's say 20 people. You talk about what STEM is, STEM ecosystems, and you put 8 pieces of chart paper around the room, all around the room. And they're all labeled 1 through 8. And those 8 refer to those 8 areas: home, school, businesses, higher education, etc. Give each person a package of Post-its. They don't have to be colored, just give them some Post-its. Then give them about 20 minutes or so and walk around the room. Each person should walk around the room, and on their Post-its, they should write ideas or tasks or recommendations or activities that go with that area. So they're doing like a gallery walk, going from 1 to 2, 2 to 3. But when a person comes up to the paper on, let's say, businesses, and they write down on their Post-it what a businesses could do, they put it up on the chart paper. Similar to what we were going to do, what we did with the metric, the online technology tool. So take 15, 20 minutes. It probably could even be 30 minutes. Have each member of your task force go around and write those ideas, those tasks for the different areas. Freewheeling, brainstorm, think out of the box for your area. Then what you do at the end of 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you'll have lots of colored pieces of paper on those chart papers. What you want them to do is to look at them, go to one of those papers, and you want to validate all of those ideas and tasks. You want to validate it. They all should be considered. Create teams around those 8 pieces of paper. Have the teams consolidate the Post-its. You will find that many of the Post-its will say the same thing, and it may be in a different way. But go ahead and stick them together so you can consolidate, sort of streamline the different ideas or tasks affiliated with those 8 pieces of paper. Does that make sense? Do major brainstorming, consolidate what those are, and so you've got those Post-its on top of your chart paper. Eventually, you're going to have a more streamlined focus group of tasks because of that. And then finally, what you're going to do is put up 8 new clean pieces of paper. And on those, you can title them with the 8 areas, but you're going to draw this cross pattern, x-axis and a y-axis. And this is going to be the most important for you. So that, as you see on my slide, on the right side, we have all those Post-its. And I just put 3 examples for you on that. And what you're going to have them do is put them into these quadrants. The first quadrant is low cost. The second quadrant is low impact. The third quadrant is high impact. And the fourth heading is high cost. So you can see here you've got low cost, low impact quadrant. You've got low cost, high impact. You've got high cost, low impact, and high cost, high impact, 4 quadrants. So what do you think is going to happen next? They take those pieces of paper and they're going to go ahead and put them into the quadrant where they think, through consensus, they belong. So all of those brainstormed items, those activities, those tasks are going to have a new home. They're going to be in low cost, low impact, or one of those other 4 quadrants. Does that make sense? They now have put those into these different quadrants. So now next, you're going to have this big piece of paper with these different Post-its. And each of these contain the tasks and ideas for each of those. And so this is what's going to help set up your priorities. So your priorities are going to be based upon the groups going through and numbering those Post-its within each quadrant. So with your low cost, low impact area, I don't know if you can see my cursor there, the top left corner, you've got, let's say, 5 Post-its. Have them prioritize. What is the first one we should do with low cost, low impact? What's the second one that our task force or steering committee should address? And what's the third one? So do that hierarchy for all of those items, for all of those 8 areas. And when you do that, that will help set up your action plan. It's a great means to take all this information, get consensus, get buy-in, and prioritize what you need to work on in your STEM initiative. So, what's next for you? Your mind is probably buzzing. All of this information, all these things you can do. Where do I start? Who will support this work? Again, getting buy-in from your other teachers, your administration, the community is going to be really important. There are no magic bullets. It does take time, but it's very worthwhile. Get people together who can be part of your steering committee, who can help create this foundation for all of your work. Planning is essential. Plan. Coordination of efforts is really important. And always remember to start small. You can always build. If you're too ambitious and you have a hiccup or two, it could set you back. So be methodical in what you want to accomplish, but have a plan, make sure you've got your buy-in. Hopefully this session allows you to become inspired in having your own STEM initiative at your campus or district level. Bring back these ideas with you. We definitely want to support you on this. Create a plan. You know, how do you move your campus or your district from point A to point E? You know, you need to have a vision. You need to have some foresight of where you want to go. You can probably get to point A and B pretty easily, but you need to have some vision of, okay, in the next 5 years, we need to go to A to E. In the next 2 years, we're going to go to A to C. So map it out. Get a plan. Get the buy-in with your colleagues. You can do it. But the question is, we're in a pandemic. So Ken, how can we do this? How can we do anything? Well, you can start this process now. Here are 3 steps I think you are reasonable and get your STEM planning process going. 1, begin the conversation. Go back, have that conversation with your administration, with your teachers. Make phone calls, have virtual meetings, email, communicate the value and benefits. You can do a lot right now. Communication is important. 2, do your homework. See if you've got any nearby schools or districts already in the process. Network and seek information and buy-in. Again, if you know there are nearby districts involved in this, or maybe in your region or state, get them as partners to help you out. And 3, plan. Get 3 or 5 key individuals to initially help with the plan. Write it out, create your survey, distribute the survey, get your results, determine who should be on the task force. If you've got some squeaky wheels in your community, put them on the task force. Have to have them be part of your group initially so they can hopefully see the value of it. They will be part of that group, and they will probably be your stronger ally or advocate for the community to move forward. Keep networking. Take reasonable steps, bring people along, and communicate through every step. It's really important. Buy-in and communication. Start small, communicate, plan. You can do this. So thank you very much allowing me to share some insights about a STEM initiative or STEM ecosystem. Please let me know if I can help you in this journey, but you can do it. Thank you. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Ken. That was wonderful. You shared a lot of relevant insights about STEM ecosystems. It's not an easy task, but it's a very critical component in involving our students in their community. Thank you again. To follow up, we will now post a link. Pam will go ahead and do that, to a certificate of participation into the chat window. You must click on the link so that you can download the certificate. Again, look for the link in that chat window. This certificate is only for those who attend the live webinar. A short 5-question survey about this webinar. The webinar has been recorded and will be available on the Mini Symposium website in the next day or 2. A follow-up email from Ken will have a link to a handout from today's webinar. Please remember that we have 4 additional webinars this week and a set of 6 sessions in July. You are welcome to go online and register for those. On behalf of Accelerate Learning and STEMscopes, we appreciate you taking the time to participate in these learning experiences. Thank you so much and be safe.